Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. Welcome to the home of the world champions, day 18 of 4 years. We're going to be running that every single day for the next 4 years. It's not going to get boring. We're going to thoroughly enjoy it. As you can see, I'm delighted to be joined by Errol from Red Men TV. We're going to be talking Chelsea. We're going to be getting his thoughts on Chelsea. We're also going to be getting his thoughts on Liverpool and the madness that they're doing, because sort of news coming through really just now that there's broadly an agreement in place on a contract until 2031 with Alexander Isak. Before we dive into that, bro, how you doing? You good?
Bro, I'm all good, man. All good. Yeah. As I said just off air, then I said for me that's gonna get old fast. That world champs. But if I was in your boat, lad, I'd be doing the exact same. And I'd be letting everybody know what time it is. So absolutely, big up you, big up everybody in the chat as well. It's always good to kind of. I feel like we do a couple of these like reflective ones before the football starts. We have a little look and take stock. And then we'll have a little catch up mid-season when we tend to play each other. So yeah, it comes round fast, man. But no, I always look forward to these conversations. So thank you for having us.
Nah, always a pleasure, bro. Mate, we'll get right into it. I was going to get your thoughts on the signing so far, but we might as well address the news that has kind of come out really in the last sort of half hour or so. Is that I think it's according to Florian Plettenberg, who's pretty good in obviously German stuff. Fabrizio's retweeted it as well. Alexander Isak's reached a verbal agreement in principle with Liverpool over a contract until 2031, so 6-year deal. This is obviously a positive step in the right direction. I mean, first of all, bro, I don't think Liverpool fans would have thought at the start of this window that Isak was maybe possible, or maybe they would have thought that. I mean, but what are your thoughts on this? And are you surprised at kind of how quickly it's developed? And obviously, there's still a lot of moving parts. Newcastle need to find a replacement. Obviously, you've got to meet the price and whatnot. But are you surprised that A, how this has become a very viable option, and B, kind of how quickly it's moving now?
In all honesty, I think I like to take it back to like the end of the season. I think my particular stance was more of a, after Florian Wirtz was signed and I knew that, you know, the likes of Diaz could be in the shop window, Darwin Núñez, there was very, very strong whispers in the background that they will look to offload them at some point if the price is right. Saudi being an option, maybe Italy, that kind of broke down pretty early on. But it was very much, from my point of view, let's just test the water. Like, you know, and again, you know, you can have the last laugh now, but the way we did with the Caicedo thing, it was like, right, you got to throw your name in the hat. If a player of that quality is available, prepare the bid for them. If you land the player thereafter, great. And if you don't, you can at least say it wasn't just done as a bit of a fluff piece. It wasn't just done for PR. We had every single intention to act like a big club and try to go up another level. And that was all in terms of my desire. That's how I wanted to see Liverpool move. Did I think at that point in time that Newcastle would be tempted? No. You have to, like I said, if you want to go and have the conversation with Newcastle, you've got to put at least 115 mil at the table to say, let's have a conversation about it. Like, will that be enough? I'm not sure, but at least at that point, then maybe Newcastle show their hand and kind of indicate whether it might be 130, 140, 150 before they would even consider selling the player. And then at that point, is that enough for the player to go, well, if you're going to put a price on me, then I'm going to want to go. In actual fact, that being all I wanted has now went way beyond that, because all of a sudden what's happened is, in my, to what I can kind of understand it, is they've turned around Newcastle and been like, no, we're not selling. All right, if we had to sell it, it'd have to be 150 mil. Isak's now in his camp and he's thinking, well, look, if you think I'm a record fee Premier League player, why have you not come to me with the tabled a contract of upwards of 275 a week for me? If you think that I'm worth it, why am I not getting paid even though I'm already with you for that price? So I think, obviously, it's never as straightforward and it's never as black and white as that. But I think there's probably some part of that that's come into consideration to where now he's become a little bit. And I don't think he's disgruntled. I don't think it's going to be about a lack of professionalism or anything like that. I think it's probably more just a case of, well, actually, no, like, Liverpool have got the war chest to be able to go and do it. This is the move. Look at all the other pieces. that is the right move for us. Arsenal, I'm not interested in the Arsenal project. There's still not the opportunity to go and play for Barcelona because they're, not financially in a position to pay that kind of fee for me. Real Madrid have got Mbappe. PSG got Krakiv. I still can't pronounce his name, but Kravovelovic. They've got them.
Skelia and Dembele and all them.
They've got Doué. They've got they've got. So he's probably looked at them for Liverpool are absolutely preparing for a monster side right now. Why, if they come knocking for me, would I not want to? Because again, there's that, and I always felt this. You do the Race for Europe show with us. I always felt that signing the likes of Van Dijk, signing the likes of Salah to these extended contracts, it meant that Liverpool had to be prepared to win now. But what does that look like if you do lose a Diaz, if you do lose a Darwin Núñez, if you're gonna lose a Trent, if there are other players that you can't keep or aren't actually gonna make it and take you to the next level, like the likes of a Chiesa is not gonna do it. Harvey Elliott, there's a talent there, but does he fit into what Slot's got going on? The players that you now bring in have to now be able to drop into that first team and either be as good as what you've got, or actually we're looking to identify players that can actually kick us on a little bit. And to me, that was kind of the type of dealings that I wanted us to do. We've got a regen of Andy Robertson and Kirkes. Frimpong looks like he can be an exciting prospect all up and down that right-hand side. Florian Wirtz, again, is an exciting, young, talented prospect that's, highly thought of in the world game at this moment in time. So Alexander Isak, looking at it thinking, I'm desperate to get in over there, because if I get in over there, my prospects of being a winner have just gone up tenfold. So from my perspective now, I'm looking at it and thinking Liverpool have made all the right noises. We've done all the right things. Fair enough. We went out of our way and absolutely little broed Newcastle. You've got a replacement there lined up. Well, which one do you want? Do you want the replacements or do you want the guy? Well, we'll have them both. No, you can have one or the other. All right, actually, we'll just take them both off you. We gave you first refusal and you didn't want to play ball. This is our serious club operating. Whatever you want, like fans, rival fans, or other big teams want to think about how big Liverpool is. It's such a hard thing to quantify. But Liverpool are undoubtedly a big club, one of the biggest clubs in England. And as far as we're concerned, I go beyond that. We're one of the biggest clubs in England, but I think we've got one of the best sporting directors and CEOs in world football at this moment in time. They are absolute mustard.
No, they're definitely like they're doing a great job, especially with Richard Hughes as well. Someone that's come from Bournemouth. He's doing an exceptional job. Obviously, Michael Edwards, we know what he's about. FSG, they've been criticised by Liverpool fans, but they're actually putting in putting their hand in their pockets and they're spending. And I don't think many Liverpool fans can have too many issues with FSG as far as it to do with this summer. But on Isak though, like it would be, it's a little bit similar to Chelsea in the fact that there'd be three if this Isak deal goes through, which I think eventually it will do. I think it's in everyone's best interests for it to happen. Like you're going to have three major new pieces in the attack in terms of Isak, Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike. Three big money signings, three new pieces in the attack. A little bit like us, we've revamped our attack quite a lot as well. Delap's come in, Joao Pedro's in, Jamie Gittins, Xavi Simons should be on his way in hopefully soon as well. You've got Esteval Willian, the exciting kid from Brazil, has arrived this summer as well. What are your thoughts on the revamp of the attack? Obviously, you've got a plan a little bit for Mohamed Salah's eventual departure in a year or two's time. So it's great to get these players in before he's gone. I'm sure you'll go out and get someone else when he does go. But what are your thoughts on really the attack undergoing quite a big revamp?
It was needed, if I'm honest with you, because I like Núñez, but I am very much the minority in the Liverpool fan base in terms of Liverpool fans are not necessarily impatient, but after 3 seasons, you've got to have come good. And we've given you as much time as possible to kind of show us you can not necessarily have moments, but you can be consistent. And it's the consistency factor that lacks for Núñez. I think if you look at his body of work over the course of 3 seasons, his numbers don't aren't the worst, and they're pretty good, to be fair to him. But I think it's the lack of consistency, and it's the bozo moments for a strike. You only get centre backs that have the, but like, he just has bozo moments where it's just like, it's the intelligence and the IQ that people just see through, and they just struggle to ever really feel he's going to get to grips with the Premier League and have what it takes. And I still think there's a player in there. I think next season, obviously it's a World Cup season that we're going to go into. I still think next year he's going to have a great season no matter where he plays. I think he's going to do good numbers. I think he looks good at the moment in pre-season. Really, really excited to see what he's able to do. I said that whether he was in a Liverpool shirt or not, I'd be excited to just keep tabs on him. Luis Diaz for me was a player that frustrated me at times. I thought last season, I think I come round to the back end of last season that the output that he gives us, or the player that he is, for the money that we pay for him on a weekly, he's probably 1, 2, or 3 in the world at what you're going to get in terms of value for money, pound for pound. Is he that top bracket of left winger for me? No. Is he the Anthony Gordons? Is he the Martinellis? Is he, a Jadon Sancho or somebody else who's played out or drifted out over on that left-hand side? No, I think he's probably above that, but he's just frustrating because from the halfway line to, into that final third, he looks brilliant. He just breezes past people. He can stretch his legs. Yeah. He can open. He can drop his shoulder. He's got a little bit of pace to him. He's lost a bit of pace after this injury, but there was still enough of a tricky enough winger. But it was like, he never knew once he got to that final third, did he want to go the outside? Did he want to go the inside? And in his head, it almost looked like he just started to overthink, and it wasn't fluid. Whereas Cody Gakpo is probably the reverse. Unless it's an open counter and he's got the space to run into, he's probably not as tricky to get away from a man over a 5-yard burst. But as soon as you put him in that final third, he's far more effective at being able to deliver some level of output. And he had to share the role. But I could if Liverpool decided we have other priorities and the Luis Diaz situation is going to take us into 3 weeks of our time, effort and resources to offload him, I would have said, well, we keep him. We've got other priorities that, are going to be more pressing. We haven't got a great deal of time to get the deals that we want over the line. Let's just do what's a priority, and we'll see what happens with Diaz. It was never a big love loss, but as soon as you lose Darwin, you lose a Diaz, and then unfortunately you use someone in Diogo Jota, you're looking at it now and you're thinking, well, you've got to revamp. You've got to go again. Florian Wirtz came in pretty early, which was a positive sign. But then after that, once you start thinking about that forward line and how those attackers look, I knew that we needed something. Now, to me, Ekitike was the one that kind of caught me by surprise. And I don't know whether that was Liverpool sensing the opportunity and being a little bit opportunist.
Because we were linked with him quite heavily as well, like earlier on in the summer, and then like Frankfurt were insistent on their price. I mean, they dropped it a touch below the 100 million euros they were asking for, but not by an awful lot. And we clearly just didn't see the value in that, or we weren't prepared to go to it. So, I mean, look, I think he's a decent player, by the way, Ekitike. But
okay. I have not seen him apart from this afternoon. I haven't seen him kick a ball. I'll be dead honest with you in that respect.
Do you know what he's like, right? I don't want this to come across wrong. He's a very similar type of striker to Nicholas Jackson, except obviously his finishing is much better. So in terms of like, he's someone that will stretch the play, someone that will run in behind, run channels. But he's basically a Jackson, but he can actually finish if that makes sense. So, mate, he'll bring a lot to that Liverpool team, whether he plays off the left or whether he plays through the middle. And I think what you're noticing now with the modern game is that, mate, there's so many attacking players that are getting signed by top clubs who can play multiple positions, like having different options. You'll sign one player and you can play him in 3 different places across the front line. That never used to be the case. You'd sign a centre forward and he just plays centre forward. You sign someone on the left, they just play on the left. Nowadays, sign someone who's a number 9 but can play left, can play 10. And having all them different options is going to be like a really important thing, I think, this season, not just for Chelsea, but for Liverpool as well, maybe for Arsenal, for City, with these different types of players. And Ekitike obviously fits that mould. He fits it perfectly. I mean, bro, just quickly, in terms of just on Isak, obviously, you guys have had loads of success without, quote unquote, a proper number 9. I mean, I suppose the last number 9 out and out you had was Luis Suarez. How excited are you by the prospect of having an actual out and out 9 again, like a proper goal scoring machine at the top end of the pitch? I know Salah's banged loads of goals and whatnot, but do you know what I mean? Like a proper bagsman.
It's good. It's really good succession planning, because it might take us away from what we've typically done, where we've been successful of having those wide forwards. I'm talking your Manes, you know, your Salahs, even the likes of a Diaz. You think the likes of we had Jota, and I think rest in peace, definitely. And I think that his game was, he was a supplementary striker, but he wasn't really ever going to work well off the left. He was always somebody that you wanted to play through the middle. And I think if he wouldn't have had niggly injuries that kind of sidelined him a little bit, he could have always had the ability to lead the line for Liverpool. And I think definitely especially last season and the season before, I think his ability to carry the ball at his feet improved massively, and he looked like a much better player when he was playing the ball into him. So it was more injuries prevented him from being able to take that mantle of being the guy through the middle. And I don't think, and that was one of the interesting things for me last season, and as watching Slot get the chance to start to mould and shape. I said, Jota, Núñez, Salah's nailed on, but Jota, Núñez, Diaz, they've now got a season to prove to me that they've got what it takes to be part of this next evolution of what Liverpool are looking to do. And in that, it was a case of what can Slot do? But even by the point of November, December, I'm looking at the lads and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what a Slot number 9 looks like, because none of them have really made that position theirs where it looks, as long as they're fit and available, they're undroppable. Like, none of them have replicated what Salah's been able to do, not only in output, but like Salah might not have the greatest performances, but his output sometimes will mask over it, because he's either got 2 goals or he's got a goal and an assist. So all of a sudden you're like, well, if he was quiet for 40 minutes, who's bothered? We just won.
The amount of games you see Salah, right, and you watch him and you think, this guy's done nothing, and then he ends up with 2 goals or he ends up with 2 assists, and he wins the game. Like, I don't want to say it's an enigma, because it's not really, because he's a top quality footballer, but there are some players you'll watch and you'll just be like, how does this guy produce these numbers where he basically is non-existent in a game for like 80 or 85 minutes, but then in a 5 or 10 minute spell, he'll just
kill the game for you.
He'll win you the game.
Yeah, and I think he's had a knack for being able to do that. But I think what was really telling last season was, okay, if you're providing us with the output, but not necessarily performances befitting of it, or let's say you're not running the game, but you provide us with the output, who else in that forward line was running the game? Who else was really stretching defenders? Who else was really being a creative fulcrum for Liverpool? And there wasn't really anybody I could hang my hat on to say that's the go-to guy for us. And we worked with what we had, and eventually, we bear the fruit of it. We won the Premier League, so it paid off in the long run. But is that a sustainable model? So for me, the fact that we're now going to go to somebody who, I've basically said, you've got Isak and Salah in that team. The one thing that I genuinely believe now is we can kill off a game at any point across the course of a 90. And what I mean by that is, it could be the, 4th or 5th round of the Carabao Cup. You're playing a Premier League team. You've got Bayern Munich or Real Madrid in the Champions League the following Tuesday, and you don't want to put out your strongest side for whatever reason. You're trying to rotate the squad, but you do take some heavy hitters on the bench. We might be losing 1-0, or it might be a 0-0, and you don't want to go to extra time, and you don't want to do all of this, extending minutes in players' legs and all the rest of it. You bring on an Isak, you create 2 clear-cut chances for him, and the game's done and it's been put to bed. Yeah. And he's only needed that short burst of time to do it. He doesn't need to come in, he doesn't need to get warm, he doesn't need to run the game and be in it for long, but just give him those 2 chances and it's curtains. You add that into right now when we're going to play him for 90 minutes, it's just going to be relentless, because teams are just going to be consciously on the toes and on the back foot, thinking, I can't afford to give these a moment, because if we have a lapse and mistake, they're going to be clinical. And even if we are on it they still have quality that just can just make us look silly at any given moment.
Match winners, all like that's the thing. Like, how you want as many match winners as possible in your team and in your squad. Like,
and that's the crux. We had to change tact from when Trent went, because Robbo for the last 2 years, probably nearly 3 years, probably not been the same in terms of how he's been able to get forward and provide the volume and assist. But defensively, up until last season, he was a solid enough defender, so your back line had that continuity. But Trent evolved. So he went from being able to be the fullback to do on the outside and be able to put balls into the box, to be able to say, well, I can actually invert and do more with the ball going forward. So give me more of that responsibility. So he became the creative crux from a Liverpool perspective. If he was the creative force. So it was so heavily reliant on Trent being able to provide that quality, or Salah. It was like, well, where else does it come from then if we haven't got those? And as soon as you remove Trent, it's like, well, you remove Trent and you're going to add Salah in 12 months' time, a year older. Do I expect him to be getting 20 goals? I'd like him to, but someone needs to give him the service then if he's going to get those 20 goals. He can't just create 20 goals for himself season on season. So Liverpool had to find another way. And for me, it was about, let's shop in the best possible market for these players. Let's shop at the best possible bracket and see what players are currently available for us to get. Because every summer, Mbappe moved to Real Madrid last year. So that there was a deal there. He was available. But there are there's a very small amount of clubs that can afford to structure that type of deal and get him over the line.
It's mental.
But if you're going to shop in that window and go for that type of player, you've got to go with the mindset that if it's a possibility, let's go and get the deal done.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm at. The only thing that now is creeping into things is obviously Morgan Gibbs-White not going to Spurs. I don't know if Newcastle are going to spit the dummy out.
To be honest, though, like at this point, right, it's very, very difficult for a club to keep a player when they've said, I want out. It don't serve anyone's interests to keep a player that says I don't want to be there. However, what I would say with Newcastle's point of view, I would stand firm in terms of, look, okay, you can go, but we want this much for you, and if that much is not paid for you, then you're gonna be here. Or they'll wait until they get a replacement and then they'll sanction
and negotiate.
So something along those lines. But
I think there's also the added fact that, like, and again, this is I don't know how many Newcastle fans pick up your channel from time to time, but what I would say is there would have been an understanding or a gentleman's agreement for the likes of Bruno, for the likes of Tonali, potentially for the likes of Isak, for the likes of a Gordon, and Livramento, whoever it is, they're top players, and he would have basically said to them at some point, like, look, we're building something here, and we would love for you to see us to our end point at Newcastle. And there's no real fixed end point of football because it's a sliding doors. It's constantly evolving. But in terms of this phase and this particular project that we're setting up, we'd love for you to be there at the end point as well. Because to us, the end point looks like a Premier League, or it looks like a Champions League final, or whatever. Yeah. But in the event that we don't get there in the next 3 to 4 years, if you wanted to go to a more established club, one of the biggest clubs in the world, you could go with our blessing, provided we get the right fee for you. So if Newcastle now went back on that gentleman's agreement, loosely worded verbal agreement, and looked like they was holding Alexander Isak to hostage, what kind of message does that send to the other star players that are playing to eventually get that next move?
Yeah, no, it's a problem. It is definitely a problem. I think. Do you know what is with Isak? I think the timing's a little bit strange. How he's waited so long in the window, which leads me. I mean, this is just a theory. Leads me to believe that this guy was probably actually prepared to stay one more season. I'm going to wait and see what you do in the transfer window, and then I'll make my mind up. He's basically waited to the end of July. And I'm telling you now, right, Newcastle have gone in for top players, but they've missed out. If Newcastle had landed an Mbeumo or a João Pedro or a Liam Delap or whatever, I tell you what, that 100% increases Isak's chances of staying one. We know that he either goes this summer or he goes next summer. But if Newcastle had landed some of them players, I think he would have stayed and given them one more year.
And I agree with you there, because I think there was the conversation towards the back end of the season that stipulated, right, we've got all of this ambition, but this ambition rests on us being in the Champions League. So
Yeah.
if we get in the Champions League, stay, because, and it's the same thing that I think Liverpool did with Salah and Van Dijk, which is I think is the right way to do it. If you stay with us, these are the list of targets. So it doesn't become public knowledge, but these are the people that we've been talking to in the background, that if there's clubs and the players can come to the right terms, and so for example, and again, not to say that this ever happened, but it may have been Florian Wirtz or Jamal Musiala.
Yeah.
We're going to speak to both of them, but the idea is that one of those two, so you understand the caliber of that are coming, and then you sit there and think, okay, well, if I'm sticking around because they're building a bloody good team. We've just won the league and we've got every chance of getting these players. I think something similar happened with Newcastle, but Newcastle's level was Champions League. We get Champions League football. These are the targets, Alexander. This is what we're going to look to do. He's looked at that and thought, all right, well, Champions League, then yeah, let's see how you get on. Then you've got the Champions League football. So he's then probably thought, well, we've done our bit on the pitch. Let them do what they're going to do in the transfer window.
Yeah.
And then, chances are, because I know the type of players they're going to get, it might be worth just playing Champions League football here for one more season with the likes of Mbeumo, maybe with the maybe with the João Pedro, maybe with the Delap, maybe with somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Who was the other? And then Kuke from Madueke, sorry. Let's see if we can kick on and go again next season, and let's see if we can shock teams. But once he's realised, or it's become very obvious that none of these targets in that particular bracket, he's probably thinking, well, you're going to have to shop at a different level now.
Yeah.
Is it going to be is that level going to really kick us on from Gordon? Does it kick us on from Bruno?
No,
Does it kick us on from Jacob Murphy, that's done really well and has had a stellar season? Like, it probably keeps us at the same level. So if I'm going to have to play Champions League football next year, I want to play Champions League football because I've got a chance of winning Champions League football. I want to be in the Prem next season because I've got a chance of winning the Prem next season. So, and I think at that point, it was always obvious that Liverpool were always going to go big for you. Yeah, we know you're going to command a record signing fee, but we are prepared to meet that. If we know and we get the indication that can happen, we'll meet you there. So to me, I think that's probably been what's the change in the landscape. And as I said to you just off before we went live, if Liverpool are having the best transfer summer of our, in our Premiership time, Newcastle are having an all-time
right. Because Pete's going through it. I had him on the other.
How confident was he though? How confident was he?
He was saying
season.
He was like, boys, massive summer, huge summer for us. I was like, Pete, where's this big summer? And he's like, you should have played it calm and that. But I think deep down he knows.
He's a good talker. He's very diplomatic. So he's a very good talker, and I give him credit for that because
it gives you the politician answer. He knows deep down Newcastle are fucked. Yeah,
exactly. He's posted. He's got his channel. He's got to be posted, and he's got to front it every single week. There's a level I've got to give him credibility for that. But based on where he hyped it up to the fact that it was a case of, we've got the money now. Everything's been prepared so that this summer we can actually have the vehicle to move us towards the Champions Leagues, the extra carrot to get all of those big super marquee type players that are going to be the difference makers for us. We're gearing up for it. We've got the funds. PRS is looking great. All of these things. And I believed them. I believed them, bro.
You remember on the show back in the last season, Potts and LB gassing up Newcastle for a title challenge and that. I was like, boys, what are we doing here? But before we move on to Chelsea, there's a couple of questions. Two people have asked about him. Rio.
Bro.
I just want to clear this up, right? Because
world champs, thank you. You passed as a world talent. World talent, boys. Thank you.
Because people think that we sold him. We didn't sell him. Like, we offered him a deal, but you lot offered him more money, and that he felt there was a clearer pathway to the first team. And do you know what? There probably was a clearer pathway to the first team with you boys. He's played in pre-season. I've not seen any of it, but I've seen on Twitter, Liverpool fans getting, thinking this guy's pretty good. How is he? 16, is he? You got Arsenal. 17, is he now?
Yeah.
So you got Arsenal fans, talking about Max Dowman, Liverpool with Rio. Isn't made his first team debut yet, did he? Didn't play for the first team last season at all. Or did he?
No, he did. Yeah, he did in the FA Cup.
We played in the FA Cup, did he?
We didn't have the best game, albeit, but
Yeah.
that's not his fault either at the same time. But
Bro, talk to me about him, because obviously I seen him a bit in the academy at Chelsea. He was a highly thought of prospect. We wanted to keep him, we couldn't. How excited are you by him? And how's he looked in the pre-season? I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans today on Twitter, talking him up. I mean, do you think there's a role for him in the squad this season, or do you think it'll be one of them where he plays with the 21s and then he'll train with the first team quite a lot and he'll play here and there as required? I mean,
I met him earlier in the year last season, and he looks like a baby. He's like the baby.
He's small, isn't he?
He's small. Like he looks like family. I'm looking at him thinking, you could be my little cousin, bro. You're like, to get me like mini-me settings. But bro, when I say that he is, I remember the hype around Sterling. About Sterling breaking through.
Because you had him when you were, 16, 17?
You had another one, 16, 17, and then I know the hype about Harvey Elliott and stuff like that. And I'm looking at him now, and today's game in particular. So I was doing a bit of work, and I got into the studio in the afternoon, so I missed the first half, and he come on in the second half. And I've looked. The pitch was terrible today.
Oh, mate, chunks coming up everywhere.
Lad, he glided. Like, and I'm talking about, there are seasoned pros that have played on all sorts of pitches, and probably, to be fair, they're probably used to just playing on carpets now. So whenever they have to play on something that doesn't look like a carpet, they think, what's this, and how am I meant to play? It's a completely different game. But lad, he just glided over the pitch. He's happy to go on the outside. He's happy to cut in. He plays, like someone there, football varsity. He plays like Frank Sterling. He kind of reminds me of that profile. The thing that I hope was, we had Sterling, and then we had Jordan Ibe, and we was like, City can have Sterling because we've got this next one who's going to be an Ibe.
He's playing non-league now, isn't he?
Yeah. And I know he's had issues in his personal life. I'll never speak bad of somebody I don't know in that respect. But in terms of not hitting the heights that we expected for you, I'd probably say this at this moment in time. I hope Rio has a Sterling-esque career as opposed to a Jordan Ibe-esque career, because at the time, both of them felt like they were both very exciting prospects from just a Liverpool perspective. Now, would it be great if he went on to be, a Yamal level type talent? But like, how many Messis was there of that generation?
Yeah, exactly.
There's
not many.
Sometimes there can only be the one. And I wouldn't want to even try and apply that level of pressure to him.
Do you think he'll feature, bro, like in the squad much next season, or do you?
Well, now Diaz has gone again. It all really depends on what like senior outgoings that we have to do between now and the end of the season for me. Because if Liverpool can recoup enough money, I would personally like us to go back into the market to get an adequate understudy to rotate with Cody Gakpo, because as I said before, Cody Gakpo's effective in certain areas of the pitch and in terms of his output. But do I think he's ready he should be ready by rights, but do I think he's of the level where I know he's going to have one of those seasons where he's going to do 15 in goals in the Premier League and 15 goals in all competitions. So he gets 30 across competitions and between 5 and 10 assists as well. I'm not convinced yet. So I'd like somebody else to come in and share that workload with him. Rio scored an unbelievable goal today. Again, I think, that breaking the pace that he's got on the counter and his ability to just drop a shoulder. He's so quick-footed as well. I would like to see him in and around the squad, but that's really going to depend on the rest of the business that Liverpool do.
Yeah.
And again, his belief, because at the end of the day, he's only 16. He'll be 17 at the end of August. I just think to myself, if you're old enough, you're good enough is very valid. But I also think, like, I want you to be quality at 25. Do you know what I mean? And I ambitions where in 2 years' time we could seriously look at you being the person that could take over a Salah, because there's more value in him taking over Salah than having to go and pay.
Million
for Saka or forward, you know what I mean? Like, why spend 100 million when you've got 100 million talent there in your academy? So he is unbelievable. He's a talented lad. But at the same time, I'm like, someone else said in the chat before, my nephew might be leaving City.
I think he was going Celtic, isn't he? I think have I made that up? He's pretty close with Celtic. I mean, it looks like a loan deal to Celtic. Oh, that's what I think it was Fabrizio said it, or someone else. I've seen it with Celtic,
but the point that I'm making is that, like, you just want these young lads to be able to
Just go and play.
Go and play. Yeah, like master your craft. Go and play. You don't necessarily need that level of pressure.
Remember how good Ryan Brewster was.
Yeah, another one. That's an even better example. An even better example.
The other way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's like
Brewster was balling for in the academy and like you wait for youth league and all that, and then suddenly like it just went the complete opposite way, didn't it?
And then he got that injury and just never really came back to be the same level, and that's the only thing for me. I'm like, yeah, he might be clear of all of his peers right now, and he might look good, and he's obviously got to physically develop a little bit more, but I just think there's in the amount of football that's getting played at this moment in time, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down or change anytime soon. I would rather preserve, even if it's only for another season, and like guarantee him every Carabao Cup game you're playing, every single one, whether it's the third round or it's the final, you'll play if you get us there, and you will play the first 2 to 3 rounds in the FA Cup, guaranteed. And you'll still be playing football. It won't be to Premier League level because you'll be with the under 21s, but we'll bring you in for those games this season, nailed on. And I don't know if again if his own ambitions to play more football than that, but I think that's enough right now for the next 12 months, because the only other thing that comes of it is if we play him now and prime him and he has a breakout season, he's going to the World Cup.
Bro, this is it. You could. It's a fair point. You could easily see that. I think it's best to sort of temper the expectations, give him minutes here and there, and look after. I think Liverpool know how to look after players in the academy and whatnot. We will come back to Liverpool, bro. I want to get your thoughts on Chelsea because I thought we were having a pretty good run in the transfer window. You boys have obviously trumped us in terms of money spent, in terms of big names and whatnot coming in. However, I'm like, compared to what the business we've done last summer, I'm very happy with what we've done so far in terms of Liam Delap coming in, Joao Pedro, Jamie Gittins. Looks like Xavi Simons and Jorrel Hato could be next. Those deals are very advanced, just waiting to get the final sign off on them in terms of fees and whatnot. We ended the season well, Champions League qualification, Conference League win, Club World Cup win, which I think was massive for us.
Did you win that?
We won that. Yeah, sorry. Have I mentioned it?
You not mentioned it. Right?
Have I mentioned that? Shit. How's it? Mate, how have we been chatting for 38 minutes? I mentioned it. Oh, no. Yeah, so we won the Club World Cup. We beat PSG 3-0. Put 3 goals past them. No one else managed to do that.
Make them. Yeah.
I mean, bro, just brief, before I get your thoughts on the business we've done so far, what are your thoughts on this? Well, I don't want to call it, I don't want to tempt fate and say the signings of Hato and Simons, but it's looking that way. What are your thoughts on both them players coming in, and how do you see them making an impact at Chelsea?
I think Hato's a shrewd bit of business. I think you've probably needed an extra layer of quality in that defensive line, and I know he's got a level of versatility that comes with him. He can play left back as well as left centre back, left side of the centre backs as well. I also think Xavi Simons is a bit of an unknown quantity. He reminds me of a bit of a Joao Felix before Joao Felix just become crocodile.
Oh no, we don't mention that name.
Yeah, but you know that. At one point everybody was excited about him.
Bro, he was the guy.
Yeah, he was gonna be the next big thing, and I think Xavi Simons maybe not to the same extent. But I think there's probably more substance to what he's been doing as well at this moment in time. So I'm quite confident that he's a good type of profile for Chelsea in terms of what you want. I also think as well, this Chelsea team now, I get a little bit confused with Chelsea sometimes. I'm like, how big is your squad? You just seem to you're just forever ready to just buy more players, and I'm like, you just continue to just have this conveyor belt of saying, well, this will be the next one, this will be the next one. But I think in terms of the business, as you look at it on a whole, it looks far more structured. It looks like there's a lot more thought that's gone into it. It looks like you're addressing areas that for a while have needed to go up a gear, definitely go up a level. I think in terms of the quality of, for me, Joao Pedro was the one that got away. And I've said that.
He's a baller.
I've said that on a number of streams. I've said that on a number of streams already, to be completely honest with you. And I'll say it all next season. he is the one to watch. Like, he could be explosive beyond anybody. And again, that's not to try and gas you guys up so you think, do you know what I mean? But that's just my genuine thoughts. Like, him being in a big club surrounded by real quality players in and around him, he's an absolute facilitator. And to me, he would have been someone that I could have said that would have suited Liverpool, because the Liverpool link of the way that we used to go down, we've now moved away from having the fluid 9 that can kind of play multiple positions and do a little bit of a Bobby Firmino-esque type job. We're now going for a striker. Chelsea have now gone and got into the more of the mindset of like, right, let's get somebody like him. Can I just address something there quick, because I'm just reading it now?
Yeah.
Like Alex in the chat, and I get this a lot. People are really dumbfounded that like Liverpool have got black people in it, but let me tell you, if you're from England, Liverpool have got the oldest black community in the country. We've been here, bro. So you're just late to the party. But anyway, back to the footy chat. I think the one thing that I will say about Chelsea this year is I've got expectations now, bro. I can't hide.
We can't turn up with that world champions badge on the chest and flop. Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
On Pedro, right? It's interesting because as you say, Arsenal, City, Liverpool. Well, we'll say Liverpool as well, because I think you will get Isak, Haaland, Gyökeres, Isak, out and out number 9 gunmen. Chelsea, not really going down that route. More looking at, look, you got Liam Delap, potential, had a good season at Ipswich. You don't really know what you're going to get from him this season. You got Joao Pedro, who I would really say is a 9.5. He's between a 9 and a 10. I wouldn't say he was an out and out 9. He'll play a lot of minutes at 9, but you're looking, and then you've got Nicholas Jackson if he stays. So you've got those are your 3 kind of number 9 options. Now, I think the way we're looking at it is, instead of getting the bulk of our goals from one player, I'm not saying that other players won't contribute in those teams. We are looking at, right, okay, Gittins and Simmons, can you get me 10 goals in all competitions? Can we know what Palmer's about? Can Neto and Esteban?
Where will Simmons play though? That's the only question I have.
I think personally, right, he'll play from the left drifting in, or he'll play as a 10. So he'll give you an option on the left, a different option to Gittins, because I think now, right, beforehand with Maresca, it was very much 2 out-and-out touchline wingers was the system. However, if we continue to set up how we did in the last 2 games of the Club World Cup, where you'd have 1 touchline winger and 1 player more drifting in, we saw Palmer set up on the right quite a lot in that Club World Cup, drifting in. Like, Simmons will be a different option on the left-hand side to alternate with Gittins to bring you something different, and he's going to be someone that can give Cole Palmer a genuine rest in that number 10 role. I don't know what you're going to get from Gittins. Again, as we discussed, you boys are going to have 3 new players in your attack. We're going through this, and it's like Gittins, first season in the Premier League, 20 years old. Xavi Simons, 22 years old, first season in the Premier League. Esteban Willian, 18 years old, first season in the Premier League. Liam Delap, first season at a big club, second season in the Premier League. Joao Pedro, first season at a big club. You're going through 5 attacking options there. Yes, loads of quality, but it's either first season at Chelsea or it's first season at a big club. That's. I'm not saying that these guys aren't going to deliver, but there is pressure on. There is pressure on that.
You can look at it the other way though, because they're all in the same boat. There's nobody there that's like the elder statesman that like if you was throwing all that into Salah's expecting, well, you've got to play up to my level. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to, and that's what we've kind of now got a balance between being heavily reliant on resting on Salah and Salah now trusting that these other players that we've brought in are good enough to lay the ball off to. But when you're doing it with Havertz, you seen it the other day, he wanted to give Havertz his first goal when he should have really shot himself. So he's already feels comfortable enough to, and hopefully that continues, to be provider in the way that he has for Bobby, Mane, for Gakpo, for Jota, for whoever it's been in that forward line. Chelsea now, there might be the expectation that we need one of you to come good and step up. But you've already got a Cole Palmer that's quite happy to be, your talisman and to be your guy. He's the main guy. But you've got these other lads now that be like, well, this is a great opportunity for us. This is a great opportunity for all of us now, because there's no internal pressure, because we're all in the same boat. We're all rowing together at the same pace, and that's fine, because you only have to get it right with one of them, and it could spark a little chain reaction for all of them to just kick on. And that's the thing. And I think that's why I'm saying now, Chelsea last season got off to a pretty good start and went under the radar. He was there or thereabouts. He was in touching distance.
We dropped off end of Christmas.
After Christmas, yeah. but at that point, he's nearly done half a season.
Yeah,
and he's within touching distance of Liverpool and Arsenal. So I'm thinking, if you can replicate that, but actually these players kick you on a bit, why would you not want to at least push for the?
I agree. I think when I look at it with Chelsea, right, expectations have got to be, we've shown that we can compete for half a season. We've got a better team and a better squad than we did last year. So I'm not saying, by the way, that we're going to win the league or anything like that, but we've shown we can compete for half a year. So with a better squad and better players, I'd like to see us maintain that level for longer. Can we be up in the top two until, say, February, March time? That would be an improvement upon last season. We have to win a domestic cup.
I think you've got to leapfrog one of the big.
We need to finish top three. And I think the best chance of leapfrogging someone is Arsenal. No banter.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Really? I think so, because
I was about to say City.
You think City?
I think City are in there. I don't think there's going to be any guarantees that City are going to be able to hit their standards.
They'll be better than last year.
They'll be better than last year. But again, it's about that over the stretch of the whole season, they might start better than last season and not have the big injury that kind of derailed them.
Though, which is mad.
Yeah, but that's because they picked up towards the back end to salvage. Yeah. And Liverpool have been in that situation before. We know we're good enough. We're better than the teams that have been above us for the last 12 weeks. Right, let's lock in now. We've got a handful of games that we just need to get positive results out of, and let's just finish the season as strong as we can. That was the year that we finished above you and got Champions League by virtue of the Alisson header. We've had to do it before.
Bastard.
For the majority of that season, we didn't look like a Champions League team.
No,
because we knew as champions, bro, we have to go and get it over the line. So I think City, again, over the course of a season, I think they will level out, because I just don't think they will find that standard that they have in previous seasons. I could be proven wrong. They could be fantastic next year. They will still be a threat. But I think where Arsenal have kind of assembled what they've got at the moment, what Liverpool are assembling, I would expect that Chelsea, now, how do you kick on? How do you progress? Okay, you're saying domestic cups, but if we're just talking strictly league, I think there's an opportunity for you to break into that top three and apply the pressure. That means that Arsenal have got to stay honest, because they don't want to drop into third. They still want to at least be, and I know this again, banter aside, they still want to be able to say we've been the second best team, and we only lose out to an unbelievable Liverpool or an unbelievable City, whatever that is. They don't want to be lapped, and I think City will then want to be able to be. Well, we know how good Chelsea have become. We need to catch back up to where at least they are. So for me, I think that there's that.
As I look at it, right, I like the business we've done, as we've discussed. However, when I look at what Arsenal have done, when I look at what Liverpool have done, and when I look at what City have done, my big thing is, have the signings we've made compared to the signings those teams have made, is that enough to close the gap? I'm not saying that, it's all done on names and whatever, because it's a team game, and, it's in the profiles and how the team and how you get these signings to all gel together. But if you're purely looking at it on Chelsea signings versus Liverpool signings or versus Arsenal signings, I think there's a genuine question to say, have our signings done enough to actually close the gap to the teams above us? And that's not me being negative. I think that's I look at it and I just think that I think that's a legit conversation to have. Are those signings we've made enough to bridge the gap?
He's finished fourth last season, isn't he?
In the end, fourth in the end,
How many? Can you remember how many points you were away from City?
Five behind Arsenal in second, so it must have been
it's 2 or 3 behind City or something like that.
Yeah, let me just quickly check. But yeah, bro, we weren't.
So you're on a million. So you're not a million miles away from that, from being fourth or second, essentially.
Yeah.
Liverpool we did really well last season, so we were 10 points above Arsenal. So there is
2
a big
points. Yeah, sorry, bro. 2 points behind City, 5 behind Arsenal.
So when you're looking at it, that's one game in the course of the season, really, before you apply that pressure to Arsenal. Obviously, it's one game to definitely leapfrog City. You're 5 if we include Simmons and if we include Hato. I think the difference is, for me, have you addressed enough in the areas that were a priority before going into the transfer window?
We need a goalkeeper, for sure.
So there's your primary point for me there. So if you went and got Donnarumma now, I'd be like, no, I don't believe what you're saying there, because your priority areas have now gone up a level, and you've actually bolstered the squad with some really exciting attacker prowess. I think Arsenal went out and addressed priority areas. They needed a midfielder. They definitely needed the striker. They probably needed some cover on the wings. Whichever, Madueke's going to be flexible. He'll have to be versatile, unless he is a trailblazer for Arsenal and can just nail down one position. They want to get Eze. They are, they've got a defender in the mix. They've got some other cover in the centre. They was pretty stocked defensively anyway. You think they've probably addressed all their priority areas? Again, City were in a little bit of a rebuild. They've nearly got a new 11 in the last 6 months anyway.
Yeah.
But again, it can't be played on paper. So how well did they gel? I think because of the volume of cities, I think they're a much more unknown quantity. I think Chelsea should be at least expecting consistency this season and going into a team of winners now. Because whether you like it or not, you've been on the world stage this summer. You've been at that, like, you can say around, say Premier League is the world stage, but yet the title race was done. People had kind of,
right, there was no title race last season.
There wasn't. No, people have got their head around the fact that Liverpool were going to win it, but people have watched now around the world that Chelsea have just gone and bettered Real Madrid, bettered City, bettered PSG, now world champions. You're going into a team with momentum. You're going into a team with positivity. You're going into a team with that vibe. I think you're probably one or two pieces of who else. So a goalkeeper, and who else would you say was another priority area that he's probably needed?
I would say, to be honest, that's it, really. I mean,
a defender as well now, aren't you?
Well, but because if Hato comes in, right, he'll be the left back cover for Cucurella, and he can also play centre back. So I'd imagine he'd count as a centre back signing as well. Yeah. I don't see us personally going for someone like a Mark Gurhey or anyone like that. I mean, look, I could be wrong, and we might change tacks later in the window. But really, for me, goalkeeper. Now, we fumbled Manyan earlier in the window. We refused to meet Milan's valuation when that deal was there to be done. As you say, Donnarumma is now available. Are we going to go for him? I don't know. Would he be prepared to drop his wages? Are we prepared to pay the wages that he's on? I don't think we would be. But that, for me, is the only piece missing. You get Simmons and Hato across the line. If you go and get a goalkeeper, then suddenly you're looking at it and you're thinking, yeah, this squad is pretty complete. Obviously, I think we'll go and bring someone else. If Nicholas Jackson was to leave, and there's been, rumours about him potentially leaving, then we'd have to go and get someone else in that position. But other than that, bro, go and get me a top goalkeeper. Go and get me a Donnarumma, for example. And I don't think there's many excuses for Chelsea not to be
in the mix
next season.
He's stabilised
in the mix. 100%.
He's stabilised over the last, I know obviously what Carabao Cup 2024 was it, or 2020?
Start of 24, yeah.
So and you looked at it, and you've got the guy Neville's taking the piss and being like billion jobs and stuff like that. But I think from post that point and Maresca coming in and all that, I think there's been a real, you've stabilised quite a bit. And when I say stabilised, you've actually managed to re-establish yourselves in that we're top 4 standard. Do you know what I mean? And you always look like we needed to get back there for 3 or 4 seasons, but you were just, it'd be one good season, you should win a domestic, or you should go to a final, or you should win the Champions League, but then the league form would drop off. All of those things kind of happened on and off. But I think in terms of your league form, you've stabilised that. It's about kicking on now, and I do. There is a side to me that thinks Arsenal have touched up on a lot of their priority areas. We've now, I had a gal telling me the other day that we haven't, and he's got me thinking about it. To be honest, I'm thinking we definitely need a centre back because Joe Gomez is
Always injured.
Always injured. He's not reliable enough. Canate's future more than his availability.
Are you gonna go for Gurhey?
I think so. I think we will. Yeah,
Do you reckon we'll do it this summer?
I'd like to think so. Because this is why I'm getting to this point, because the likes of Canate's future is up in the air. You know, Van Dijk's got 2 years left, but we're going to need a successor to him. Obviously, Huynsson went to Real Madrid. So in my mind, I'm like, we definitely need that. That's a priority. But I think Liverpool I think the way the transfer window has been set out this year, everybody's kind of in their own lane, and they've got respective targets that they know if we broach and approach them 8 or 9 times out of 10, if we need to press for that deal, the deal can get done. And I think the same can be said now of Mark Gay in a defensive capacity. So I think to an extent now I can look at it and say, yeah, I think as long as we get some defensive cover, I think we'll be okay. And we probably, again, if it was me, I'd probably want to see and evaluate towards the back end of the window. Is there a 6? Is there a decent 6 that we can throw in the mix for Endo, us?
Basically.
Yeah, or not even like Endo's a destroyer, and for certain type of games, that's fine. But if we needed someone to start a game because we want to rest Gravenberch, I don't want to see McAllister have to drop in there. I don't want to see Bosley drop in there. Is there somebody else that can come in that might be just a little bit of a hybrid of a Curtis Jones and an Endo, someone who's really good on the ball but might be young in profile and can and again, I know Gravenberch is young, but I don't want to see him burn out. So that's my consideration. But I still think Liverpool might just have firepower for days. So
well, this is it. You might go the opposite direction. Do you know what? All right, defensively, we're good, but we're going to almost a little bit like that Brendan Rodgers team that went so close, scored so many goals, but you let in like 50 or 60 goals, which cost you the league. I'm not saying you're going to let in that many, by the way.
That many, because I still think the defense and the goalkeeper and that are still going to be good enough. Yeah,
the defense is good. You've obviously changed both fullbacks, 2 top players in Frimpong and Kirkes. Do you know what the interesting thing with Gurhey is, right? And because it's a World Cup year, the only thing I would say about him is he's not going to want to go somewhere where he's not playing every week. Now, if it wasn't a World Cup year, I would say it was almost nailed on. He goes to Liverpool this summer. If Gurhey goes to Liverpool, does he play every week?
So I'm of a different opinion to this because I heard this point the other day, and to an extent, I get it. But where I look at it is, it depends on what Thomas Tuchel wants. If Thomas Tuchel wants you to be his guy, regardless, he's going to go for bat for you, whether you play 50 league games or you play 20, or whether you play 50 games in one season or you play 20 games in one season. He's going to trust you to be his guy. The other benefit to that is whatever minutes that he does get, again, we don't know what happens with injuries and all the rest of it, but whatever opportunities he does get, he's playing for Liverpool at the highest level that every game feels like it's a must win. So you're playing with the most elite level of football and pressure applied to you possible. And then there's the added benefit potentially of, I've actually got a centre half who's actually got some legs come the end of the season.
Yeah.
So for me, that all starts with, is he Tuchel's guy? And if he's going to be Tuchel's guy, I don't think it matters whether he plays 20 games or 50 games, because Thomas Tuchel will think, you're the guy for me in my defensive setup. I think that's what we've kind of got to contemplate.
I do hear that. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. Because I'll be honest, bro, people might not agree with me. He's England's best centre-back right now. Like, he is, because John Stones has fell off big time. Maguire's not there anymore, really. You got Colwell and Chalobah who are with us, who I think are good defenders. Yeah. But in terms of in the England pecking order, Gurhey for me would be the number one centre half right now. It probably is.
And I know this is pre-Tuchel, but Kobe Mainoo hadn't played that many minutes and ends up in a Euros, doesn't he?
Adam. I mean, I say Adam Wharton was in the squads as well, but actually he was playing week in, week out for Palace. That's slightly different. He is playing a lot, bro. By the way, Wharton, just quickly, that's a player that Liverpool, I could see him there.
Should be
not this summer, but in the next year or two, when he's on the move, that's a sort of player that you think, right, that fits in amazingly.
Can you hear me?
Very good. Yeah, good, very good. Yeah.
I'm messing with the mic there. I need to take my hands off. That might be the one where, because we've gone big for certain players this summer, he might be the one where we get a bit of a stopgap in the 6.
Yeah.
And Endo might go next year. There's a stopgap that then becomes a third choice. But then we might look at next summer and go, we only need one big player is now set. And again, you probably start looking at succession planning for Van Dijk, and you start looking at salary options and all that. But for the next season, we've got one season where if we just need to drop one player in.
Do you think that's the next big position? Like
for us, because I like Gravenberch, but I think we've got options in midfield, haven't we? And I like to keep the options that we've got there. So yeah, who knows how Gravenberch kicks on in the next 12 months, and if he wants to play a little bit further up the field, and there could be a lot of moving parts. So yeah, for me, I think the likes of Aguehi, it all depends on if Thomas Tuchel turns around to him and says, I need you to be playing 30 plus games this season.
Yeah.
That might then turn up to the player, and the player might have the final say on whether he makes that move this season or next. But it's like when a big club comes knocking, you've got to think of your career at the end of the day. Like Liverpool, there might be somebody else that breaks out next season that they decide to go for. This might be my chance to go to that club, and I don't know how old he is. How old is Gay?
Mate, he's only 24.
24, yeah, 40 or 24. At 24, you'd hope that you're going to at least have another World Cup afterwards. And he's not going to be not in that squad. He's got to be in the squad. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it'll be okay. I don't think that'll be too much of an issue.
Bro, I just wanted to I've missed this question. I just wanted to get to it before we finish. What are your thoughts on this? Is there a point there, or is that something?
No, there is. There is definitely. I think it's a good question as well, to be honest with you, because I think the creativity. But I think depending on how much you watched Liverpool last season, lad, it's there was a couple of games where we played Jones, and if it wasn't Jones, it would have been somebody else. But it was like Szoboszlai, Jones, and he played like 9.5s between them, and we just had 2 wide forwards, and it was like there was like a 4 in attack, and there was just 2 in midfield. It was Macher and Gravenberch kind of just holding it. Trent would obviously come in and do what he did, and then it would be the 3 and it'd be the cover. So it was very fluid. It didn't look like an orthodox formation, but it seemed to work. I wouldn't mind seeing that, because as he says there, Szoboszlai, especially the other day, we didn't play great against AC Milan, but in that first half, Szoboszlai was all over it. He covered every blade of grass. He was doing really good defensive work. He scores a great goal. He's got an engine on him. He's forever got that running. But then obviously you just went out and shelled out over 100 mil for Florian Wirtz, so you want to have him in the team as well. So I think maybe in those big games, again, depending on what happens with Isak, you might go to those 2 to kind of lead the line and just kind of confuse defenders, essentially. But I've heard people saying Szoboszlai might play right back for certain games. I've heard them saying that he might drop and be, the Gravenberch cover if we don't necessarily go out and get the another 6 at this moment in time. I think one of the benefits with Dominic Szoboszlai is he's very, very versatile. Did I expect him to be a little bit more creative? Absolutely, 100%.
Wasn't he signed as a 10?
Yeah, very much. And he's. It's not saying that he can't do it, but Dominic Szoboszlai is the 10 for Hungary, is very much a different player. And it was the same for Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, the left winger for Colombia, was a very different Luis Diaz than the left winger in a Liverpool shirt. So there's a little bit of that going on. And of course, he's still a young man. So there's a level of the growth and feeling that you can be that guy in this team as well. But maybe Wirtz coming in just takes the pressure off him, and it means all the good things he can do without now worrying about thinking, well, what else am I contributing? What's the output that I do? Because somebody else is there designated for that kind of role.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Hope that answers that question in my mind.
Last thing, bro, I just want to quickly ask you on Harvey Elliott. Obviously, again, was superb at 21 euros. He's too good for that age group. He's going to have World Cup aspirations. He's very much a player that has been talked about leaving Liverpool. Just briefly, what are your thoughts on him? And do you think he should stay? Are you happy for him to go? Where are you at with that?
I want him to push for the England squad, lad. He's fearless. The thing I love about Harvey Elliott is he's fearless. It doesn't matter the level that he's playing at. He just goes in to do a job. Like, he's really confident and comfortable at just going in to do a job. So, and there are some games where, the occasional the game gets the better of him, but that's all footballers at a young age. So, and it was the same with Kelleher. Kelleher deserved his move. He had earned his right to go and get that move. would have liked him to have went to a club higher up the league. But again, I think I've seen someone tweeting the other day, if Newcastle don't go in and look at Harvey Elliott and
Newcastle
Nunes,
could be doing that, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a team that can afford to give him the minutes, guarantee him the game time, and let him just shine as a 10. Even again, I probably wouldn't want him to necessarily go to a Spurs. Maybe might make them good. But no, I think he does.
At that level, he can play for a top 4, top 6 team week in, week out.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what I mean? I think between a top 6 and top 8 team, he should be their starting number 10. If they play in that system,
I think he'd be great at Brighton or something like that.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I genuinely do it. Our thing is he's a Liverpool fan. He supports the club. He loves the club. He doesn't want to go. But I'm like, I want to see him in that England setup. Because he's the type of player that can come on and do things and make things happen. When England look a little bit jaded, when he look a bit predictable, when he look a bit sluggish, he'll come on and just do his thing and light it up. And we've probably got a few of those options. It's about whether the manager picks them or not. But he should be thinking, if I go to another team in the Prem and get 10 goals or assists and I've been stayed fit, I've got a big chance of pushing for that England squad.
How much do you think he's worth?
40 plus.
40 plus. Yeah, no, bro, I think that's fair as well. That seems to be the going rate for that kind of player in the market so far this summer. So, I mean, look, obviously, Liverpool, they'd be happy to keep him and whatnot as an option. However, if selling him is a difference between getting Isak or not getting Isak, then it's, I'm not saying it is as simple as that, but do you know what I mean? Like, if that money's going to help you get Isak, it's obviously an absolute no-brainer. But yeah, bro, we'll round it out there. Pleasure to catch up as always. Mate,
shit's about to get real just now. All this, I like this because this is niceties. Do you know what I mean? Like,
bro, we get the little. We're sort of over halfway through the window, but there's still 5 weeks of the window left. Who knows what state we're going to be in?
But the season. That's what I'm saying. Like, even when we're having a conversation towards the back end of the window, the season's already started. So you're now already in the mix.
We're in the mix, bro. We're in the mix. Mate, if the people don't know where to find you, let them know.
Yeah, big up everybody, big up the lads in the chat, lads and girls in the chat as well. I hope you're all doing good. Keep safe, look after yourselves, have a good summer holiday. But yeah, if you do want to tune in, it is literally just Errol 0151, obviously because I'm from Liverpool, or across socials, and then it is.
Oh shit, is that what that is? Area code 0151.
Yeah.
No, I've been Liverpool a few times. I had no idea that was the area code.
yeah. So that's me, Errol 0151. And then I do the Red Cartel podcast stream YouTube show on Red Men 2 on a Friday night, usually 7:00. Unfortunately, it is what it says on the tin. It's a Red Cartel. So it's myself as a Liverpool fan. We've got Arsenal fans and we've got Man United fans.
No Forest fans, though. No Forest fans.
No. To be fair, we had Wolfie Crashy on United towards the end of last season.
Scrap that, yeah.
Yeah, but we've cancelled his membership. So he's out the club. He can't get in no more. He's got to wait at the door. But yeah, we do that 7:00. And we do look at other clubs and what other clubs are doing to see how that's going to affect, obviously, the Red Cartel. So, yeah. And then, of course, Red Men channels as well for most match day watch along. So you'll see me just dotted about.
Guys, all that will be tagged. It'll be linked in the description and whatnot. Go and check it out. Go show us some love and stuff over there. Loads of great content. People, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you smash up the likes on the way out. Subscribe if you're new around here. And I'll catch you lot again tomorrow.